Hey everybody, it's your old pal Jones, no longer flu-ridden, with your month's Patreon Q&A video. This is the new apartment, yay! We're very happy to have it. It's much more spacious and less moldy, and it is a treat. Let's get right to your questions. First question from Abigail. What is your Potter house? As some of you may or may not know, on the website Pottermore, a complete, comprehensive guide to all things Harry Potter, one of the first things you get to choose is, in the sorting hat, what house you belong to, based on a various set of questions regarding your personality and so forth. I always worried about it, because I overthink tests. I always do. And I'm an INFJ, and I really thought, well, Abigail's, Hufflepuff. Am I going to be Hufflepuff too? I hope so. And I did the damn test, and I ended up being a Ravenclaw. And then I went through this little, soul-searching period where I was going, oh, I can't tell Abigail this, because what if this completely, unravels who I am as an INFJ? But then I spent, about a couple hours today going online and looking through the various personality types. And sure enough, Ravenclaw and Hufflepuff actually are borders on INFJ. It just depends on who you're with and your mood, because a Ravenclaw can be creative and outspoken, but so can INFJs. It just depends upon the person they're with. I mean, they're introverted, but when they open up to the right people, they can be some of the most stubborn and most outspoken people you've ever met. I won't shut up if you really get to know me. Next question. Favorite thing you've held on to, but it's time to let go? Well, here's an older one that I finally got rid of. When I was 5 years old, my parents gave me a little pillow that was made of orange foam. I know that because I would chew on it, and it gave me such a happy feeling to chew on the foam, and they would get mad at me every time. And it was blue with seersucker stripes, and I used to call it Pillow. And I had that pillow from the age of 5 to the age of 32. Mm-hmm. That sumbitch had so many holes in it by the time I threw it out, it looked like Swiss cheese. And my dad had taught me from his time in the Navy how to sew, and there was probably more thread from the sewing than there was the actual original pillowcase by the time I threw it out. Otherwise, today, a real talk, I think the thing I've been holding on to that I should let go is fear. I make a lot of excuses about why I should or shouldn't be doing things, and I think at the heart of them, they're just intellectual reasons to hide fear. Why I shouldn't take risks on something, why I shouldn't be more open, or why I shouldn't produce something. What do I watch or listen to that makes me laugh these days? I may have mentioned it. It's a podcast. I do love podcasts because I work by myself from a day job. It's called The Teacher's Lounge. You can get it in the comments section on Patreon. Be a Patreon sponsor. It's so cheap, and there are hundreds of weird pieces of odes and nonsense, songs, poems, stories, plays. Just do it. In the comments section, you will see a link to it. It's free for the first archive of 6 months, and then after that, if you want to hear older episodes, you have to pay a monthly fee, but do it anyway, because it's fun comedy. The basic premise. There are a group of guys who are teachers, and there's one who's a driver's ed teacher who can't drive, actually, a theater teacher who's vainglorious, a civics teacher who is really nebbishy and really wants to be a big man, but he isn't, and a athletics director who's just obsessed with winning at all costs. And it starts out like that, but then it just goes nuts, and you'll see season by season what happens. I tuned into it because, again, if you may know, I love Paul F. Tompkins, and he was the first guest on it as a shop teacher. Again, that's the Teacher's Lounge with improv group called Big Grande. What kind of work have you done lately which excites you? And nothing on a grand scale, I would say, but there's always small things. And I think there's joy to be found and attention to be found in appreciating the small moments. When you make a choice, or when I make a choice in a scene or in a monologue that I didn't expect that excites me, or when I lay off to bed and I'm nervous and I'm counting backwards from a large number, and as I'm drifting off to sleep, I sort of start cooking. I call it cooking an idea that I've written down in my head for either a poem or a song, and I start telling myself a story like a child would, without any hesitation, just saying, okay, there's a dragon, and then and the dragon lives in an apartment building, and he loves to collect chopsticks, and one day he meets a pair of binoculars that can talk, and just no reservations, just a free association, keep going, no judgment whatsoever. And once you do that and discover some small, really amazing things, it can be pretty exciting to see what your own mind can do and create independent of you. Here are my questions for you. And again, I thank you so much, everybody out there who's been a part of Patreon all these years. These are direct questions this time for each and every one of you. I want you to respond. I want to hear from you. Let's start with the tried and true people. Anna, what card did you get? And what talisman from the old car will you place inside the new one to preserve its legacy? Abigail, what's it like to lead a team of writers to work on a project and get them to write together as a group? Carlos, what's your favorite Spanish word or phrase that has no real translation in English? For example, there is a Indian, Native American phrase that is called koyanishkatsi, and there's not an English equivalent. I mean, the closest thing is life out of balance. Something like that. Amy, what does the idea of home mean to you? Jelena, how goes the PTA campaigning? Have you had to shake any hands or kiss any babies yet? Paula, how was Christopher Lloyd's talk at the Cerrito Center? Angie, I'm very proud of you, by the way, Angie. What's your own musical self-care? By which I mean a song that you wrote, that you wrote it first just to write it, but you end up singing to yourself when you're feeling really low, that ends up being your own medicine. For example, mine's The Mandrake. Megan, what is your life's mission statement? Lisa, what's the most ridiculous audition you've ever had? Diana, what would you say is not 40? And last, but definitely not least, Stacy, if I write more, will you write with me? I love you all, guys. Talk to you next month.